Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to another weekly reading vlog. I hope you guys are all doing very well. After my whirlwind of a last week where I read my 100th book of the year, but also had some ups and down moments in life, I want to just read some fluffy books that will let me turn my brain off a little bit. So this week, I have some popcorn thrillers and some romances that I think are going to bring a smile to my face. So without further ado, let's get into the TBR. So first one on the list for this week is The Intruder by Frida McFadden. This was recently nominated for a Goodreads Choice Award, so I am very curious to see what I think of it. Frida McFadden, I will have you know, I'm sure you already know, has been nominated for 3 books in the mystery thriller category, which I want to say hasn't happened before. Maybe it has, but I've never seen it as long as I've been following the prize. I've never read one of her books. I've heard kind of mixed reviews. Like, some people really, really enjoy them. They generally have around a 4-ish stars on Goodreads. Some people aren't, guess the twists, and they don't really live up to the hype for some other people. So I'm curious what I will think as somebody who reads a lot of mystery thriller. And this is a book about a storm, which I thought sounded really, really fun for kind of the end of fall. It says, Casey's cabin in the wilderness is not built for a hurricane. Her roof shakes, the lights flicker, and the trees outside her front door sway ominously in the wind. But she's a lot more worried about the girl she discovers lurking outside her kitchen window. She's young, she's alone, and she's covered in blood. What? Yeah. So I really like that concept for a mystery thriller, and I also really do like this cover design. It is a broken glass window. I don't know if you can see, but part of the cover is matte and part is not, so it looks like a broken window. And the edges have this awesome detailing. Is this upside down? I think it's upside down. Anyways, it says, "What is she hiding?" And I think just looks great. So I'm going to start this one first. And then I thought, since we're nearing the holiday season, I wanted to finish up some of my fall romances that I picked out to read for the season. I, of course, could read these any time of the year, but there's something, joyful about reading them at this time of the year. So I wanted to pick them up now. So the first one, as you have seen, is the Pumpkin Spice and Poltergeist by Ali Mulford and Ellie Morrison. This was gifted to me for my birthday by the lovely Milena from Milena Reads. Thank you so much. And it says, "Get ready for a bewitching tale of love, laughter, and supernatural shenanigans in the heart of Maple Hollow." So it sounds like a supernatural, Stars Hollow romance, which I think sounds so fun. And also, the cover, just immaculate vibes. Love. So excited to get into this one. And this one is actually pretty short, 261 pages. So I could probably float through that pretty quickly. And then lastly, I would love to get into the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, which is the second book in the Dream Harbor series. I read the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I want to say it was definitely in the October blog somewhere. And this one still looks very fall-y. There's foil leaves on the cover. The next one in the series is the Christmas Tree Farm. So I thought I would try and get the other fall one in before it's Christmas season, and then I will pick that one up over the holidays. So this is about another character that we met in the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. And this is another small town Stars Hollow, spicy romance. And it's about Hazel, who owns the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, who has a relationship with this fisherman named Noah. I think it just sounds very cute. Pumpkin Spice Cafe was a 3.5 stars for me. I really enjoyed the vibes. I enjoyed the romance. The writing was not anything groundbreaking, but it was great for the vibes and just kind of a turn your brain off cozy read, which I hope is what this one will be as well. Otherwise, this week, I'm back to my week working with the residents in the hospital, which is my busiest week. Yay! I feel like I usually feel a bit more recovered before I go back to the hospital and go back to a busy week of work. But the show must go on. And I have to say, working with residents always brings me joy and makes me happy. So I think maybe it's what I need, even if I don't feel that right now. I do work tonight, so Tyler and I are making some dinner. We're going to make some pork chops, mashed potatoes, and I'm going to make the mashed potatoes and carrots. He's going to make the pork chops and the carrots and just kind of enjoy a nice dinner before I head off for my last night shift before I finally get a night off. So anyways, welcome to this week's reading vlog. You know, it is getting towards the holiday season when you have hot chocolate spilled all over yourself. But having said that, I did have a delicious cup of hot chocolate. I got the like every holiday season, and I want to say they have it other times of the year. Williams Sonoma has this like hot chocolate, these little like flakes, I guess you could say, of chocolate. I'll put a picture on the screen, and it is just so divine. Like it's something I look forward to all the time for this time of the year, and I usually save it for this time of the year, and it's just the coziest, best cup of hot chocolate ever. So I had a cup of that, and I've been doing some reading, so I have a little bit to update you on. This week has been a lot of drama at work, which I don't want. Just things. So when I'm at work, I like want to teach the residents and I want to do patient care and I want to spend time with my coworkers, and that's about it. Like anything is just taking away my energy and is not what I need. And so that has been kind of frustrating for me. Having said that, though, my team is fantastic, meaning the residents that I work with and I'm teaching this week are awesome. They usually are awesome. They almost always are awesome, but they're particularly awesome this week. And yeah, it's overall been a good start to the week, but a little bit more on the non-medicine side of things that I would prefer wasn't happening in the background. But overall, things are okay. It has been getting chillier. I went for a walk around the block, which I often do at night, and I had to like bundle up with my coat, which felt very cozy, but also a little bit like I miss the fall when I could just put on a light sweater and enjoy my evening walks. It is very much making me feel like I want to start to not celebrate, but like decorate for Christmas. Tyler is very much the tree does not go up until after Thanksgiving person, which in the US is like at the end of November. So I'm just doing little bits here and there. Like I put up some Christmassy bath towels in the bathroom and change the soaps out so they're Christmassy. And think I'm going to do my Christmassy mugs either this week or next week. But the big things can't happen until after Thanksgiving. I also ordered some new stockings for us and the cats with our names on them, but those certainly won't go up yet. Anyways, I've rambled for a long time and I don't think I've told you anything super useful. So let me get into the reading updates. So The Intruder by Freida McFadden. I think about 50 pages from the end of this one, although this is a shorter one. It's only like 250 and it's going by very quickly. It has very short chapters and high suspense, high drama, high stakes. So definitely breezing through this one. This is, as I said, my first Freida McFadden, and I'm been surprised by how much I enjoy it. I've heard a lot of people like aren't as big fans of her writing, and it's not perfect, but it is a really engaging thriller with kind of a slow build, ratcheting up of tension throughout it, and I've enjoyed it. So as I said, I think when I told you guys about this at the beginning of the vlog, we're following a woman named Casey, ? Yes, Casey. She's in this very remote cabin in New England, and at the beginning of the story, she's kind of like ramping up and getting ready for this big storm that's coming in. And her landlord sucks and hasn't like renovated the cabin. There's a tree that's about to fall over. Like everything's a bit of a mess, but there's no time to like fix things before the storm comes in. And so she is just hunkering down and hoping for the best. And the night of the big storm is when she notices that there's a flashlight. There's somebody out there in her little shed area. And she goes out there and there's a young girl covered in blood. And we go from there. Both characters you feel are hiding something, but you don't know what it is. And you also, it's interesting because you get two perspectives. You get the girl's perspective and then you get Casey's perspective, but the girl's perspective is a while ago. And so you don't really know how these stories are going to relate and intersect. Obviously, you know they're both in this cabin at some point, but you don't know like what is the twist. And I haven't gotten to the big reveal yet. But I do have to say, like, I'm very intrigued in it, and I'm very curious how these two people are know each other and are going to connect, because certainly there is going to be some type of something in the end. Yeah, I think it's very atmospheric. It's a fast read. I'm hoping to finish this on the couch tomorrow, and so far I've been really thoroughly pleased with it. So we'll see how that one concludes. And then I did start reading Pumpkin Spice and Poltergeist. This was gifted to me by the lovely Milena, and I want to say I'm listening to the audiobook. That's why I'm like piecing through and trying to remember where I am. I think I'm on like maybe about a third of the way through the book. And this is a sapphic romance that is set and sapphic paranormal romance that is set in a town that is very Stars Hollow-esque, but there are all sorts of different I don't know what the correct word for it, like vampires, werewolves, demons, like all these people that live there. And we have it says enter Harlow, the new girl in town who just wants a job at her sister's cafe, but then she meets another girl there and they kind of have a romance. I am so on this. Is it like my favorite thing ever? No. The writing is fine. I'm just like, so far there hasn't been anything that has like massively stood out to me. I do like the fall vibes. There's lots of delicious descriptions of pastries and of the fall time and of this town that is very into fall, but characters in themselves and relationship and vibes in themselves seem a little bit average to me so far. So I definitely will finish up the audiobook and see what I think of the end of it. The audiobook is full cast. However, there are some issues with like some of the characters' voices are better quality than others, and like some of them are louder than others. So you'll be listening to it to the car and it'll be like loud and then a little bit quieter. And I know that that's a nitpicky thing, but it bothers me just a little bit. So I might actually read some of the physical as well for this one, just because the audiobook is getting on my nerves just a little bit. But yeah, overall, solid, vibey read, just not a favorite read. I think I enjoy the Dream Harbor setup a little bit more. With that, I'm going to start getting ready for bed. It is only 9:00, but I just get so exhausted, and so I need to wrap up and get ready for bed. And excited for the next time I talk to you to maybe have 2 books to update you on. All right. Hello, my friends. It is currently Saturday, and I have a lot of reading updates to tell you guys. Namely, I finished 2 books, which you probably can expect. One I gave 4 stars, one I gave 2 stars, so kind of all over the place. I also am surprised changing my TBR towards the end of this vlog for the last book that I'm going to at least start, and I'll explain that. So, yeah, quite a busy clip. Otherwise, Tyler and I got some ramen. He's about to go to work in the next couple of hours. He works nights. I just got back from work, but it was nice to just like sit down and have a nice little ramen and watch some football and just like chill out together. So yeah, let's get into the reading update. It's going to be a long one. So the Pumpkin Spice and Poltergeist by Ali Mulford and L Morrison. Unfortunately, I gave this 2 stars. I really wanted to love this. And I don't know if maybe I wasn't quite the right audience for this and that's why it didn't work out for me. But it just didn't quite work. There were a couple things that I can point to that didn't work, but overall, I don't think paranormal romance is a genre that really works for me and that I'm gonna dive into too much. Yes, I was a Twilight girly back in the day, and so, if I read it now, I don't know what I would think about it. but I don't think I've read any other paranormal romance, and I've never been like particularly attracted to it. The only reason I was very attracted to this one was because of the cover and the fall vibes. Some things that frustrated me about this: third act breakup, a little bit insta lovey, unfortunately, and there was also a lot going on in here. Kind of a cold case, um, a cozy fall book, a romance, the whole supernatural part of it, paranormal part of it. And so it just felt it was doing kind of a lot. Felt like a lot of breadth and maybe not as much depth as I would have liked. There are going to be people that will read this and absolutely love it. I don't think the writing was bad. It was just not my book, unfortunately. So 2 stars for this one. And then I gave The Intruder by Frida McFadden actually 4 stars and really, really enjoyed it. I did find it really, really entertaining. I think you might be able to guess one twist, but you probably won't be able to guess all of the twists because there are a lot of different things that happen at the end. And if you've read a lot of thrillers, like it does follow some tropes that a lot of thrillers fall into or have a twist that I've seen before. But there was enough in here that surprised me at the end that I think the payoff still delivered. It was really entertaining. Like, I liked how short it was, and I felt like I was engaged for the whole time. If I'm going to be a little nitpicky, I would say the writing wasn't anything special. It was just like generic thriller writing. And I would also say that the twists came pretty fast at the end, and I was trying to like keep up with what was happening and who was who and what was relating to what. But I really enjoyed it, and I would definitely read more Frida McFadden, and solid read. So 4 stars. Um, then this little thing came in the mail, and I totally forgot to box it on camera, but it is The House of the Spirits by Isabel Allende. Um, this is I guess a classic, and I think it's like a family story. It is quite chunky, almost 500 pages. And the reason why I am kind of throwing out Cinnamon Bun Bookstore and instead reading this is because I totally forgot my in-person book club is meeting on Tuesday. It is currently Saturday, and this is the book that we are meeting to discuss, and I have not started it. So I've got to get going with this, or I'm not going to finish it in time. Never read anything by this author. Don't really know what to expect. Do love this cover. I think this is really pretty. I like the color combinations. So yeah, going into this blind, and I hope that it is a fun read. So I am going to this evening enjoy a nice cup of lemon ginger tea, probably the last couple of days of my fall mugs, my trick or treat mug, until I get all of my Christmassy mugs out and just kind of cozy up to another read that would be crazy, but maybe I could finish it before the end of the week. All right, my friends, it is Sunday and it is time to wrap up this vlog, and I very much apologize for this lighting and moving the camera as I'm actively talking to you. Hold on a second. I don't know if this is better, but we're just going to go with it. Anyways, I wanted to pop in, do the wrap-up clip. I usually film downstairs, but Tyler is watching a marathon of Band of Brothers on TV. So he won. I didn't feel like I could rip him from the TV downstairs. So I'm filming up here and the lighting is not great. But did want to just chat through how the week ended up going and send you guys on your way. So yeah, I would say my goal at the beginning of this week was to read some comfort reads and just like turn my brain off a little bit. And I think I did that. I don't think I found a new favorite, but I think overall I achieved, some quick reads, particularly with the Frida McFadden. It was a really, really fun one for me. I did want to actually, before I jump into the wrap up, I did want to talk about the first 60th pages. I was editing this vlog and I just started laughing in the last clip when I was like, maybe I'll finish another book before the end of this vlog. No, I don't know that I'm going to finish this in time for even the in-person reading club on Tuesday, which I realize is not good. I might end up not going, and then just finishing it on my own time, which I've never done, but this week has just taken it out of me and I didn't have it to read more. But I'm really enjoying the beginning of this. It is very wordy in a good way. But definitely like lots of characters, lots of things happening, and nothing happens in short sentences. And the chapters are extremely long. So just know that going into it. It is certainly a saga of these different families, but it also has some magical realism in it, which I really enjoy. And I've never read a magical realism before. I can't tell if I'm going to get tired of how long-winded it is or if I'm going to be so invested that I'm going to love it. But the first 60 pages, what I can say is that it is very well written, and there are characters in here that are already interesting me. So I will for sure be finishing this, although I might be the worst book club member of all time, especially if I skip the book club meeting. There are about 8-10 of us, but still not great. All right, so wrap-up clip. This week, I read 597 pages, which is 85 pages per day. Definitely well below the average. But maybe I should start doing an average for like my busiest week, because I feel like this is actually pretty good for a really busy week in the hospital, 85 per day. I ended up finishing 2 books. I finished Pumpkin Spice and Poltergeist, which I gave 2 stars. And I also finished The Intruder by Freida McFadden, which I gave 4 stars and very much enjoyed. The quote from this week is actually going to come from this, even though this wasn't one of the books that I finished. This was the quote that stuck with me the most. And so that is really the only rule of the quote of the week. And it says, "She was already in the habit of writing down important matters, and afterward, when she was mute, she also recorded trivialities, never suspecting that 50 years later, I would use her notebooks to reclaim the past and overcome terrors of my own." I just love that. I thought that was so interesting. So that is the quote for the week. If you made it to the end of this video, leave me like a cloud or some type of storm emoji for this very stormy book that got a 4 stars from me. And with that, I will see you next week for a very Thanksgiving-y vlog. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.